As we approach September and we think towards our new year of mission together, bringing God's love to our communities, we thought that we might set out for you what we believe it will take to see success in that mission in these months to come. So firstly, what is the sense of vision that we have for the things that God is asking us to do together, that we might see His name glorified and His church restored to the place of centrality in the life of local people? Well, firstly, we have a sense of finding a deeper knowledge of Christ and a more intimate experience of Him in all of our aspects of worship. We get a real sense of a need to grow together in a more united, generous and welcoming family of God. We get the sense that we need to create more access points for the unchurched and dechurched, people that have never had a connection with the Christian faith, and people who have but have walked away, that we feel we have a specific calling, maybe to prodigals who are far from home and God wishes to call them back into the life of His church. We also have a sense of a need to create ways in which we can have access points into the lives of children, young people and families. And around our mission community we see lots of families and individuals that are really on the fringe, that we are very close to drawing into the life of the Christian family. And finally, and importantly, also celebrating and growing on our traditional Anglican heritage that means so much to each of us. What is foundational is that as our mission community we are here to grow, and we're going to think together a little bit about what would that take? What needs to be in place that in 2022 into 2023 and then on into 2024 we may really celebrate the blessing of God in our midst. So what is it that we need then to allow this vision to become reality for our mission community? Well, we think we need two things. Firstly, we need to recruit more servant leaders. And as we have before us many opportunities for growth in our church, so we need to match those opportunities with lay people who will help us, partner with us as we seek to grow those opportunities. And being a servant leader doesn't mean being up the front and taking a service on Sunday. No, it can simply be organizing a few people together to pray for something that we're doing. It could be a person that helps to gather a few people together for some refreshments after a service that we are doing. So the servant heart and the servant leadership come together in a person who seeks to serve like Christ, to help others around them be all that they can be and help the mission of the church move forward. Secondly, we need to strengthen our financial provision so that the operational expenses of the church are covered and that we have sufficient financial assets that we can move forward into the opportunities that are currently being presented to us. The reality for us, I think, is this: that as we look out at the vista of mission and ministry before us, we see opportunities that we will only be able to take if we have enough people that can partner with us, and also if our financial provision is strong. And we hope by faith that God will make provision for us in these next months to come, so that that vision, that dream, that hope may actually materialize into a reality of the growth that God is doing amongst us.
One of the questions that the New Testament writers were trying to answer was, what does it look like being church together? And as you read the Acts of the Apostles and the various letters in the New Testament, a number of images are used. And Paul wrote very helpfully that we are a body of believers. And just as the various members of our body, our hands and our feet and our eyes and our ears work together and serve each other, well, then our body flourishes when that happens. And Paul's point was that it's the same with the church. We can't all be hands and feet, and why, frankly, would we want to be if we are an eye or an ear? We need to be different. We've been given different gifts, and those different gifts are both given and valued equally by God. Of course, if you want an example to aspire to as a Christian, it is Jesus. The word Christian literally means little Christ. Jesus Christ is God himself, who came to serve and not to be served. So when we serve each other, when we use the gifts that God has given us for the good of the church and our communities, we are most closely being the people that God created us to be. In Ephesians chapters 2 and 4, Paul is really clear that for the church to flourish and to do the kingdom building that God needs it to, well, then the saints, which is you and me, well, we each have work to do according to the gifts and the experience that God gives us. God's vision for the Christian life isn't that we have a private faith, that we improve our soul week by week on a Sunday morning, but that both life and soul flourish when we serve. When we are active in working for the kingdom of God in the church and the community. And we see that, don't we? Week by week, there are people who quietly get on with making sure the church runs as it should, that the services happen and people are visited and house groups happen and our community is served in various ways. And I haven't mentioned half of what people do, but I can tell you that Steve and Jonathan and I are immeasurably grateful for that. We could not do our ministries without you doing yours. So let me ask you this. What are you gifted at? Because there are many things that I am not gifted at. And God wants us to work together as a body. So ask yourself, what are you gifted at? And then ask one of the clergy where you can use your gifts.
So how then should we think about finances in God's church? Well, it may interest you to know that money is talked about more as a topic more than almost anything else in the New Testament. Why is that? Well, the first reason is that it can become a stumbling block for people. We learn from the New Testament that you can only serve God or money, you can't serve both. And so it certainly can be a trap for people, but also money is talked about because it is the currency of human life. Corporations, governments, homes and churches are run on that currency that we have that allows us to pay our bills and allows us to function. Well, in the Old Testament, we see the nation Israel paying a tithe to God. And in many ways, that tithe in the Old Testament is much more akin to a tax, an income tax for the functioning of the nation. When we look in the New Testament, we see offerings much more akin to what we might say as a love offering of the heart, a desire to give so that God's mission will go forward, a desire that those who have little will have enough. And we see that spirit of generosity in giving right throughout the early life of the church. And the real sense is that if we all do a bit, then that actually will be enough to provide for all of the needs that we have in our mission community. Now, you might be a person watching this video and you are new with us, and you are still figuring out whether Holy Trinity, Lympstone Parish Church or Littleham Parish Church is the right church home for you. If that's you, we don't want you to be worried about giving. We just want you to continue to explore, investigate whether God has called you to find a home amongst one of our churches. And may I say, if He has, we would be absolutely overjoyed. If He's called you somewhere else, then we're also overjoyed because we have a kingdom mindset. We want to see growth in God's kingdom. Maybe you are a new person here, but actually you've come to this position of really feeling at home. You feel like you belong, and you see your future mission here with us. If that is you, can I ask you to pray about whether God at this perhaps even early juncture would invite you to partner with us financially in ensuring that we have enough finance, enough assets, that we can actually move this mission that we're called to forward. Importantly, part of our financial obligations every year is the Common Fund. The Common Fund is an amount that we pay to the diocese, and it comprises really three significant parts. The first and most major part of that is towards paying clergy stipends and clergy pensions. The second part of that, and it is a small part, is to support our brother and sister churches around the diocese that are really financially struggling. And some of our brother and sister churches in North Devon, very few people struggling even to keep open. And the fact that I'm here at the font reminds me that we all enter the life of the church together through baptism. We are one family, we are one people, and we look after all of God's people. So that's an important component of our generosity, is our generosity to our brothers and sisters in other parts of the diocese. And then the final part, and it is a small part, goes towards the diocesan functions that are really important: safeguarding, buildings, education, our Christian schools, and all of those really essential elements that make it possible for us to work together as one cohesive Anglican family. I'm here today with Clive. You're our treasurer for Littleham cum Exmouth Parish, and one of the things that I'm particularly grateful is the sacrificial nature of people that are already giving to our mission community. And I know that these are difficult times and people have really been very kind and generous in their giving. But we're thinking a little bit now about the ways in which people can give if they're not giving, or they can change the way they're giving. And we're also giving a bit more information about how people can give. So my first question is, what's the parish giving scheme, Clive, and how could people get involved with the parish giving scheme?
Yes, well, the parish giving scheme is a scheme operated by between the Diocese of the Church of England. The church members can give regularly on a monthly basis through the scheme by direct debit. They give their bank details to the scheme, and then the scheme would take a direct debit, and they will then make a payment over to the church once a month.
So it's actually not the diocese, it's a separate scheme nationally?
Yes, it's a separate scheme nationally. You can join the scheme either online by just Googling Parish Giving Scheme, by telephone, or I've got a pack that people might be interested in. Okay,
so we can put those out in our churches so people can look at that.
We can look at that, and then they can look through the information and decide how much they can give. One of the beauties of the scheme is that every year the scheme, if you elect to, you haven't got to, you can elect to have your donation increased by the amount of inflation. So you can set it running, and every year it will increase by the amount of inflation, whatever that may be, and they would do that automatically if you opt into that part of the scheme.
Okay, that's really helpful. Traditionally, people may have given by standing orders. Do we still take standing orders? Is that still a way that people can give?
Yeah. We still have quite a few people who pay by standing order. Yes, we prefer people to use the parish giving scheme because administratively the parish giving scheme is so much easier for us. It takes away all the burden from us of like gift aiding, your donation, and again, I get maybe 100 transactions a month on standing orders, but parish giving scheme I just get 2 a month. So administratively, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for me and takes away the work, which is part of the reason why the scheme is preferred.
You mentioned there the gift aid. What is gift aid, and why is it good news for churches?
Well, if you make a donation and you are a taxpayer and you decide to gift aid your donation, we can claim up another 25 pence in the pound for every pound that you give.
Oh wow, that's really something.
So it really is beneficial to us that if you make a donation and you are able to, please make sure it's gift aided.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
It's a huge difference. Yes, we get increasing our income by a quarter of all donations.
Exactly.
Yes.
In the church, do we still accept cheques? How do we feel about cheques?
We still do receive cheques, and we will accept them. The preference is, if you can, do it by bank transfer. That is the preferred method. I mean, cheques, yes, we still get them, but I am concerned how much longer actually banks will accept cheques.
Right.
And where we can actually pay them in. But we do cheques, but yes, I wouldn't like to think in a few years' time.
Right, it's kind of something that's going to drift away.
Drift away.
So if anybody wanted to make a cheque, they could make it out to Lympston PCC for Lympston Parish, or Littleham come Exmouth PCC for this parish.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What about if somebody wanted to make a one-off gift? How would someone do that? How would they go about giving a capital gift, a one-off gift?
Ideally, they make a payment by bank transfer into the bank account. So if they contact me or Bob Suter, we can give them the details, and we can then arrange for that. They can then pay that money into our bank account, and hopefully, if they're in a position to gift aid it, we can then collect the gift aid on that donation.
That would be wonderful. What about cash? Can people still give in cash?
We have limited amount of receipts of cash now. Yes, you can still, if you come to a service, there's the offertory plates, and you can place your cash donation in that. Okay. We can assume, under the rules of gift aid, we can assume any cash donation, provided it's under 30, the donation is under £30, we can assume that's gift aided, so we can claim the gift aid on that cash donation. Okay, so we're taking every advantage the government allows if we can. We try to. So a final question: if somebody was thinking about, what to do with, their assets at end of life, and they wanted to leave a legacy,
Do churches, do our parishes accept legacies, and what advice would you give someone if they were considering making such a bequest like that?
Yes, we do receive legacies and accept legacies. My advice is that you speak to your solicitor,
Yep.
who will make up your will, so that the correct form of words
Yep.
can go into that will, so
Yep.
your wishes can be met.
Yep.
There is a leaflet that you can find at the back of the church on what you should do, and again, it suggests the form of words that you might want to use, but there's further information in there.
Okay, Clive, that's really helpful. Thank you very much for sharing that with us today. So when it comes to thinking about giving in church, of course, we know there's a variety of ways that we can do that. We can do that through the parish giving scheme. For people who are not part of the parish giving scheme, visitors, people to weddings, baptisms and funerals, often we've taken cash through a giving plate like this. But today we find that there are fewer and fewer people that carry cash, and therefore the option that we're going to be putting into all of our churches is the option to donate digitally or through contactless means. And we've got here at Lympstone our contactless giving machine, and on the front it says "Welcome to Lympstone Parish Church," and it gives the offer of donating £3, £5, £10 or £20. It also says at the bottom that you can choose your own amount. So I'm going to choose to donate £3, and when you set these machines up, you can set them up with any figures that the church would choose to use. But what churches have found is that 3, 5, 10 and 20 are frequently given denominations of money. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a donation. And our hope is that in our 3 churches, as we start to use these systems more and more, a greater proportion of our giving will actually transfer to the digital way of giving. Now, there's different types of units that you can have. Here in Lympstone, we have kind of a desktop giving unit, donation station. At Holy Trinity, we're probably going to have a freestanding donation unit, but they all kind of operate in exactly the same way. So, how do I give my £3? Well, actually, it's immensely simple, because I take my card here with the contactless sign on. I can see the contactless sign up there. It tells me that the payment I'm going to give here is £3, and all I do is touch that to the contactless sign, and the payment is taken. So it's one time taken from my account, and it will show up as a payment to Lympstone Church. And there are some machines that will give you a receipt. What we find is that most people actually don't want a receipt. They don't want all the hassle of that. So in our churches, we're going to have the non-receipt type of machine where you just touch it once and you can give a donation. Of course, if you want to give multiple donations, you can. Now, whilst these units are particularly useful for people that aren't regular givers in church, it may well be that under the parish giving scheme you regularly give, but on a particular Sunday the Lord has just convicted you and given you a heart to give an extra donation. Well, of course, you can do that as well. Once you've given your donation, there's a little gift aid form that comes up that you can fill in, which then allows gift aid an extra amount of sum given by the government to be an addition to your gift. So it's really simple to use, and we're going to give some training sessions after church in each of our churches, asking people to gather around, and we'll show you how to use it, and just try the technology, see if it works, and see if that is something that might work for you in your giving. Well, I hope that that's been a helpful review of where we are. both in terms of leadership opportunities and in terms of financial opportunities. What we feel on the leadership team is that we are really poised for growth. We see opportunities before us at this time that we probably have not seen before. And we do pray that you will partner with us in whatever way you're able, that we might see this bright future realized that God is presenting before us. In the book of Esther, Esther was told that she was in place for such a time as this. And maybe we are here together for such a time as this, to see an outbreak of God's blessing and provision across Exmouth and Lympston. So can I encourage you, pray about the things that we've talked about in this video. And if you have any questions, please speak to Benedict, myself, or Clive, and we would love to help you and answer any of your questions. Well, may the Lord bless us all as we walk forward in faith.